Hi, everybody. Sue and Mark here.
Hello.
I'm Sue. I'm Sue Craddock. I'm a diabetes nurse of many years, but more recently become a coach and supporting Mark to help people reverse their diabetes and actually get a grip on their metabolic health generally, which has been an exciting journey for us both over the last 4 years, 3 4 years.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And tonight we just want to talk a little bit. Mark will tell you about himself in a moment, but we want to talk about, I think, Mark, don't we, about what's got us to this point and what we're really excited about that we're doing in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm Mark. You may have heard, I reversed my diabetes or put it into remission. Was it 7 years ago now, I think? And of course, then I went on a bit of a mission to try and help other people do the same. And that's, of course, that's when you and I got together, really, so because you were sort of looking for support as well in trying to get the right ideas and approaches and have these sort of conversations with patients. And of course, so I was more than willing to come in and try and help. And we put together this course, didn't we? This course over 6 or 7 weeks. And and I sort of think back to where we were right back at that beginning. It was we were trying to piece it together, weren't we? We were sort of looking at what did we want to include within that course, and we wanted to get some of the messages a little bit clearer around nutrition, because there's so much confusion, isn't there, out there? And you must have had that with your patients then, but people are getting that sort of, I read one thing somewhere and then I read something somewhere else, and what is the right approach? How do we get that message across? So yeah, I mean, I don't know, is that something that in the NHS has been that feeling?
Well, I think what happened for me, Mark, is that I realised when I started to work in primary care in GP surgeries that we weren't really helping people, and actually I trusted that many people were doing their best to follow the guidance, and I was following the guidance in what I advised, but I had a real sense that this wasn't working, and so I started on a bit of a journey to find out what should I really be doing. And of course, the internet's a wonderful thing. And I started to notice I knew Dr. David Cavan, who's a world leader in this as well. So I was watching what he was doing, and I suddenly realized that there was an alternative approach, and that there were a number of myths that we needed to debunk in the population, including healthcare professionals. I mean, as you know, we're doing work with healthcare professionals, and we're going to be sharing the fact that some of these are myths, but they've been long held in healthcare for quite a few years. And unless you can spend time discussing it with your peers, which is what I think the magic of our groups have been, we got people into a room. I think the other thing, Mark, we knew that we can't just do it as a one-off. We knew that there was something more important. It wasn't just about carbs. It was about the whole picture of your health and your life, wasn't it? So we also knew that people needed support. Not everyone's as self-determined as you are. So we just wanted to make sure people had, week by week, a little bit of touch-based support, answering their questions, bringing back the messages from their healthcare professionals who would be saying, well, you shouldn't be doing that, because we had to help people confront some of that, didn't we?
Yeah. And I think, I go back to when I used to go back and see my diabetes nurse. And I'd see her once a year, and we'd sit down, and I'd go there armed with some questions, which had built up over the previous 12 months. And I'd say, well, what about this? Or how do I deal with that? Or whatever. And she'd be brilliant. She'd answer the question, things like that. And then I'd go away, and then it wouldn't be long before I'd have another whole range of questions. But of course, it'd be another year before I'd see her again.
Yeah.
And I think, it was kind of almost like one of the powerful parts of this, putting this course together. Because I think initially when we did it, it was about building up an education base, wasn't it? It's about what we're going to do is we're going to touch on we're going to build some knowledge around nutrition, and we're going to bust some of the myths and that type of thing. And we're going to look at exercise, and we're going to look at sleep and stress, and how all of these areas, how they kind of impact on people's health. And I guess, you know, when I was thinking about it, I thought, well, we didn't realize quite how magical it was going to be getting people in a room together or in a group together online, where they would be looking out for each other, but they'd also have the opportunity to take on what we were talking about, go back, think about it, reflect on it, and then the next week be able to come back and say, oh, but how do I make this work? Or could you just explain that again? Or have that kind of opportunity to do that sort of thing. And the fact that it was once a week, it worked really, really well in that respect. And we've seen it. How many courses? We were just talking about this, weren't we? How many courses have we done?
I think so. We've done 22, 20, 26. Well, I think you've done most of them, but I think together in the last few years, we are now on course 27.
Wow.
Which is huge, isn't it, really? Now, we work across a couple of organisations, but of course, we're really excited that we are now going to be able to offer one in a couple of weeks. You don't have to belong to our primary care network. We're gonna see if people outside of our NHS area would like to take this on. Before we talk more about that, I just want to go back to this thing magic, because I think there are 2 or 3 other things that made the magic. I think one of the key things is you and I, whilst we have expertise, we don't sit there and say we know it all. I think what we were able to do, which is why I think we work well as a partnership, we just love being in a room discussing things with people, whether they're healthcare professionals or whether they're people with diabetes or whether they're families of people with diabetes. We just want them to talk about how it is for them and for us to present information. So I think that's the first thing. We're not coming in as experts. And in fact, indeed, we use other people's knowledge, don't we? I think we're interpreters. I mean, you've got a really...
We're so lucky, haven't we? There's so many people, great leaders in the field. You look, the onwards,
David and Gemma.
Well, that they've done. You mentioned David. There are you've got Dr. Chastity as well. We use some of his.
We regularly talk about Michael Mosley. Let's not forget
Mosley, of course, Michael Mosley.
Yeah, and then the great Jason Fung from across the water. There's so many people that have got this message that's been out there for many years. I think what we've done is brought it in and helped people make sense of it. So in a true coaching world, really, is look. This is the stuff. How do you think this would work for you? What do you want to have happen now? And yeah, I think that's the second bit of magic.
We also mentioned, you've said it before in the groups as well, there's no right or wrong way, is there, to approach this? It's kind of like we've always encouraged that, haven't we? That individualized approach. So it's not like we're sitting there tap, you've got
to have this number of carbs or you're wrong.
This is the only way of doing it. And I think that the lovely thing I've seen over all those courses that we've done is how people have changed from the beginning of the course to the end of the course, and how bit by bit you get some of them that just go, I'm on this, I'm all over this, I can do this, and then you get others that go, and they're taking it on and they're making little changes, and you see that change. And we've talked about patients in the past, and we've said that look at where they are by the 6th week compared to where they were right back at the beginning.
And I think that's important, that we're not prescribing a way of being. We are saying, this is what we understand might help. We've seen it work for other people. The it has to be defined by you, but there are some principles, and that is you have to understand the impact of the current food you're eating on your glucose levels and your diabetes, because if you can move away from treating your glucose levels with drugs and actually stop the glucose levels requiring treatment, so that has to be a dietary impact. If you can learn about that, that is much more powerful than anything else. It's very clear now. But that will also mean that you'll have other nutrients coming into your diet, so you won't be as hungry. Then we're talking about saturated fats, healthy fats. So we have to bust that myth about low fat is best. No,
That's
it
a big deal, isn't it? We've seen that in the group.
isn't.
It's a big deal. When we cover that in that particular week, you can see the looks on their faces. Oh my, I've been looking at this in a completely different way for
Yeah.
years.
And then if we throw in, you don't have to have breakfast. That's lovely, isn't it? When you do that session and that you help them see, well, first of all, you help people see the impact of regular eating, which is what we're all encouraged to do, isn't it? You've got to eat regularly. No, you don't. It's going to encourage you to want to eat more. We've found with many people. So if you're listening to this and you think, I'm always having to eat carbs, we can help you. Well, there are people out there. You don't have to come to us, but that's one of the things we discuss.
We've spoken to a lot of people who will they've eaten breakfast out of duty, and it didn't even feel like they wanted it. Some have been eating it, because because of their medication. You've got others that were saying, "Oh, but I've always told it's the most important meal. I must have my breakfast before I go, otherwise I'm going to keel over later on in the day." So when you start to realize actually there are ways around all of that, and you don't have to get up and eat that sugary dessert first thing in the morning. It's quite freeing, isn't it?
It is freeing, and I think that's the thing. The point you're making there is you don't have to. You can, if that's what you want. We help people, I think, make sense of the choices and the impact of their choices on what they're doing, rather than saying there's a wrong or a right approach. And of course, then we talk about stress and probably a little bit of a myth about activity. There's this whole sense that you can run off a bad diet. No, you can't.
We've been told that. I mean, I know that because I've heard that for decades. That people that I've spoken to, and I did it myself, tried to exercise to lose weight. And that was the focus.
Because we all believe that calories in and calories in and calories out message was true, wasn't it? Really, and it might not be, and we'll discuss that. We help people explore that.
But huge benefits for the exercise, and of course that we really nail those. I like to think that we talk about why are we actually doing it, and where are those benefits gonna come from, and how can they really go along with our goals, whatever those goals are that we're looking to do. We can see there's huge benefits in it, but if you're only doing it because you want to lose weight, you're probably going to get a bit frustrated.
I mean, thinking as I listened to you there, I realized that actually the main aim of anyone who comes to our group is when they talk about they want to either reverse their diabetes or avoid getting it because they've been told they're in the pre-diabetic or non-diabetic hyperglycemia state, however we're describing it at the moment. I've just lost my train of thought. If you then go, when we ask them about, so what would be different if you didn't that? And it's always about health. It's always about being healthier, maximizing my health. Usually people are in their middle to late, they're in their they're not in their 20s, they're in their 30s plus. And so they're looking ahead, they're thinking about their family, being around for their family. And that's, of course, where it comes in, being more physically active or keeping active, maintaining your weight, looking up, managing your stress levels, and influencing your family, because obviously the genetic risk means that your family, in fact, probably the nation, could do with this message.
And what we find also is that if they can start to get the nutrition bit right and start to work on that, they actually want to exercise, which is a big difference, isn't it, to the message before? It's almost like been a stick to beat you with, isn't it? You must exercise, you must do this, you must do that every week. But actually, if you can get the food bit right and start thinking about your stress and your sleep and all that sort of thing, and try to get all those things in a row, you start to realize that, do you know what? I mean, we've got it on a current course where people are going, I actually want to go out for a walk. I actually want to get on the bike and start riding it. I mean, that's fabulous, isn't it? If you can get
but I think my sense is that we see that in the second or third week is because people are already feeling better. And I think that's the other magic about this approach. You're not you see changes both in glucose levels and your energy levels very quickly when you reduce carbs in your diet. Not necessarily everybody, but a lot of people that come through our program, I mean, I'm just thinking of probably the same lady that you are that's in our program at the moment, who's just got a smile on her face now because she's lost weight, and it's only been a fortnight, and she's already finding her way through this and finding a level of hope and joy that she didn't think she could find. And she's enjoying the food because she's not having to follow restricted, and she's seeing it as something she can do. And that might be the other magic, that this isn't a diet, is it? This is about a way of eating, a way of life.
A way of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's almost what we see in people is that once they get that kind of feel good, they don't want to let it go. And I think, in diets, it's always been that short term, isn't it? You sort of mentioned that I want to lose weight for the summer. I want to lose weight for Christmas, or that outfit I'm going to wear, or the wedding, or whatever it is. Whereas to this, I feel so much better. In fact, I didn't realize how bad I felt until I started feeling better.
Yeah, that's an important one.
I'm losing weight. I'm really enjoying the food, and you've got to enjoy it. I mean, you've got to enjoy
it. Otherwise, it's So we really help people think about, if they're not enjoying it, what's happening for them. And of course, for some people, it will be because of the situation that they're in, that they cannot perhaps make the changes they really want to. And so I think we have some empathy with those people, and then we do offer other support, certainly within the program that we can offer. So why do we want to keep doing this, Mark? What keeps us going? What's made us want to go further as well to more people?
Well, the thing is, every time I finish a group, I can't wait to start the next one. Because you go into it and you see a room of people, online on Zoom or whatever, and they all come with their own personal stories as to why they're there and what's happened in their life and that type of thing. And then when you start to see that little bit of progress, and you get to the end of the course, and you can see how they're changing, and of course then we find out that they've gone back to see their nurse, and their HbA1c has improved, and they've lost the weight or whatever, and all these other bits and pieces. It's an amazing feel-good moment for us, and it makes me want to do it more and more and more. But of course, what we saw over time with the areas that we were working in, that there were a lot of people outside of those surgeries that were saying, we don't have access here to it. Or, Mark, do you run this course? How do we get on this course? And, well, sadly, you're not part of our group of surgeries, and therefore we can't offer it to you. Well, that's now all changing. So in a couple of weeks' time, I'm just checking my diary, on Wednesday, the 25th of October, we have our very first low carb group, which is going to be the intro plus the 6 weeks afterwards, which you and I are going to be running together. And it's not going to be tied just for our surgeries. We're now actually going to be offering this right across the UK for anybody who would like to join us, which is incredibly exciting, because you think, well, we know that there are lots of people out there, despite the fact that low carb and all of this is really getting out to the masses now. We know there's a lot of people out there who are crying out for this kind of support, and they want to have the opportunity to run through one of these courses. And it's exciting to think that we can do it. So in 2 weeks' time, you and I.
Yeah, we're on it. We're on it. And so and I suppose I'd say, if anyone's listening to this and thinking, shouldn't I? Give us a go, because you can tell us what you need. But if you've got an itch about what else can I do to manage my time, and we are talking about type 2 diabetes, to be fair, aren't we? We're not talking about type 1 diabetes. We haven't met that challenge yet. One day we might, but at the moment,
it's edging closer. It's edging closer.
People with type 2 diabetes, if you would like to come on our program, then give us a chance, or just email us.
So that's pre-diabetes, that's type 2 diabetes, that's I'm getting close to pre-diabetes.
I'm worried
about that.
Fatty liver, if you told you've got fatty liver or you've got a strong family history of type 2 diabetes, and you've noticed that you're carrying your weight around your middle, so you're a bit more apple shaped than you'd like, or you're thinking about a member of your family, or you're just curious and you believe this is the right approach, yeah, come and join us.
We'd love to see you. So we will put, we'll be sharing this video. We'll put something in the comments when we share it so for the link to be able to book onto that course. So please, yeah, either join us, book onto the course, or if you want to ask us any questions, then send a message through to us. But we really look forward to seeing you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.